Roman Reigns is back. Wow. Hi, everyone. This is my immediately after Summerslam review at 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to be a very quick review because I'm very tired and I want to go to bed. Yeah, that was a bit insane, as WWE pay-per-views tend to be at the minute. So we've had 4 title changes. I've got all my notes here. Believe it or not, I do take notes and try to research these sort of things. But yeah. So, without notes, off the top of my head, night starts off with Rhea against Liv Morgan. Decent match. It was all sort of sold on Rhea. Her shoulder coming out of the socket kind of thing. So she was selling that for like, well, more or less the entire match, and then she did this insane spot where she popped it back in by smashing her shoulder on the announcer's desk, which I'm sure it wasn't actually separated or whatever, but it was still pretty cool. And then I was kind of thinking, so I always thought that there was going to be a heel turn with Dom, but it had gone on to a point where you're thinking, maybe it's not going to be a heel turn, maybe Rhea's actually going to win this type of thing. But Dominic stopped Rhea from hitting Liv with a chair, supposedly so that she can't win the title kind of thing with hitting someone with a chair, obviously. But in the end, he basically cost Rhea the win. Liv pins Rhea, and then Dominic goes on the outside, little smirk on his face, and ends up kissing Liv Morgan, which hopefully was discussed with Mrs. Mysterio in real life, because I'm not sure how happy my missus would be about that, but that's beside the point. And Liv Morgan is still your women's champion, so what's going to happen with those 3 guys going forward, I don't know. I'd imagine they'll do 2 or 3 more matches before they separate, possibly at the Bash at Berlin, who knows. Next match was Bron Breakker against Sami Zayn. Decent, hard-hitting match, very cool. Breakker dominated most of it, basically, and in the end, just overpowered Sami. No offense to Sami, he was really good, obviously, but just the way the match was portrayed. And Bron Breakker is now your new Intercontinental Champion. He's really good. He is so good. I wouldn't be surprised just after WrestleMania next year if we're not talking about the next WWE Champion or Universal Champion. He is insanely good. I mean, the only thing for Bron Breakker is he's got so many lads in front of him at the minute who are in positions in front of him. So where he goes feuding now, I don't know, but the sky's the limit for the guy. He is absolutely fantastic, brilliant, wonderful. Next match was LA Knight versus Logan Paul. This is where the crowd, not totally with this match, but for the next couple of matches, kind of, to quote the Americans, went for the bathroom breaks. It just seemed to be, not so much this match, but towards the tail end of this match, it started to sort of flatline a little bit. Long story short, LA Knight wins the United States Championship. Real back and forth match. Logan, to be fair to him, as much as I'm not a huge fan of his, did this insane spot where he sort of jumped onto the rope and then did this, I can't even think of how to describe it, this overhead spin into LA Knight. The distance, the hang time he got off it was insane. I mean, like I said, I'm not a massive Logan Paul fan, if I'm being completely honest, but he's really good. I haven't seen someone take to wrestling as in a rookie that quickly since Kurt Angle. And the thing is with Logan, obviously he's got an athletic background and, boxing and this, that and the other. And briefly MMA, I think. But he's such a quick learner. Such a quick learner. Very, very good. And yeah, that was it from that one. So what I was saying about the crowd, this directly affected the Nia Jax and Bayley match. No offence to either of the women, the crowd were dead. There's no other way of saying it, unfortunately. The crowd were completely dead, not into it whatsoever. No offence to either lady. I think the issue with that match, I do wonder whether it would have been better to have had that as the opener and then had the Rhea Liv Morgan match in this place kind of thing, so you can build and build and build and build. Also, Nia and Bayley, it was a decent match, and Tiffany Stratton gets involved. You think she's going to cash in the Money in the Bank. Bayley smashes her off the ringside, but then that allows Nia to come in and basically take the victory. And for want of a better phrase, Nia Jax sat on her 4 or 5 times, which probably hurt, to be fair. I just wonder whether Nia and Bayley. Oh, Nia's actually being interviewed now in the presser, so I shall have a look at that in a minute. I do wonder whether if it was Nia against Jade Cargill, they're going to match up quite well, and there's going to be interest in it. If it's Bayley versus, let's say, for example, a Tiffany Stratton or Bianca Belair, someone along those lines, which I'm very surprised those two weren't featured, to be completely honest, or even Sister Abigail, who was supposed to be calling from the Wyatt family. Maybe there's a bit more intrigue. I just don't know whether those two matched up really well. I mean, as I said, don't get me wrong, they had a good match. It was the kind of the same complaint I had from the other week in the event in Scotland where it was Bayley versus Piper Niven. I think Bayley, now she's not got the title, she could really do with like a Becky Lynch or a Charlotte Flair or a Bianca Belair or something along those lines to sink her teeth into it. Sorry folks, it's been a very long night. But yeah, it was a decent match, but the crowd just weren't into it, unfortunately. However, they were into the next match, which was Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. Absolute, for me, match of the night. Absolutely superb, the way it was sold. Seth Rollins as referee, he needs to referee a lot more matches because he was hilarious, absolutely brilliant. Not doing any fast counts, completely ignoring what was going on, preposterous refereeing decisions. Crowd absolutely ate it up, thought it was hilarious. Punk, it was kind of the reverse story of Drew getting into his own head about Punk. Punk spent the most of the match. It was kind of a bit weird and a bit stupid, but he seems to be more bothered about the AJ Lee and Larry bracelet, because it ended up on Drew's wrist and it ended up on Seth Rollins' wrist, and Punk was like, how dare you take the bracelet, blah blah blah, and this, that and the other, and he ends up GTSing Rollins, and then while Rollins is unconscious, well not unconscious, but while he's falling out of the ring basically, McIntyre hits the Claymore kick, 1, 2, 3 when Rollins gets in. There was one very cool callback for those older wrestling fans of my vintage, shall we say. The way that Rollins counted and looked at Drew was the spit of Shawn Michaels counting Brett versus The Undertaker. So Brett had spat at Shawn Michaels. Shawn went to hit Brett with a chair, Brett ducks, and then Taker ends up taking the chair shot. Brett gets the match 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. And it was brilliant in terms of the way it looked like that. So yeah, good match, but it kind of made Punk look. I'm not going to say it looked Punk stupid or anything, because obviously if it was something to do with your missus or your husband or whatever the case may be, obviously you are going to get slightly annoyed in real life. But it's kind of like, would Punk really have stopped what he was doing because of the bracelet, which has already been missing for several weeks? Bit strange. Anyway, second to last match was Gunther versus Priest. Fantastic. Really enjoyed this. Hard hitting. It was just, as JR would say, a slobber knocker. Just two big old boys just smashing the living you-know-what out of each other. Damien Priest's moveset, some of those kicks, he actually opened up Gunther's chest. Kicked him so hard. I mean, I don't know whether it was blades and all that. It could have been blading to sell the match. I don't know, but you don't usually blade across the chest. And some of the kicks that Damien Priest delivered to Gunther were absolutely spectacular. Towards the end of the match, Balor comes running down, and I had predicted this. You sort of think that Balor's there to support Priest, and he ends up sort of pulling Gunther's foot onto the ropes, I believe it was, and then doing this sneaky sort of smile. Priest sees it on the TV, on the Titantron, and then he eventually he eventually sends Gunther unconscious. Priest is made unconscious by Gunther, if you see what I mean. Sorry, it has been a very, 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 very long day. Very long day, indeed. And yeah, Gunther is now the WWE champion, so fair play to him. I'm sure he'll be really, really good. What happens with the Judgment Day now, I have no idea, because obviously you've got JD McDonough, you've got Finn Balor, you've got Carlito, who's kind of an honorary member of the Judgment Day, but also not really. Did Balor know about what was going to happen with Dominic Mysterio? Is Liv Morgan now going to be the leader of the Judgment Day? Is Finn Balor the leader of the Judgment Day? Is there going to be a second Judgment Day heading into maybe War Games? I'm probably suspecting they're just going to disband the Judgment Day due to the fact that Priest and Rhea are both now stars. Maybe they just knock around with each other. I don't know. Also, the fact that you've got potentially coming on to the next match, two lots of bloodlines, because, as I said at the start of the video, Roman Reigns is back. So this match, Drew McIntyre's on the show now. I'm just wondering if Punk's going to come in and smash him. So I'll make this very quick. So Cody and Solo, it was okay, not too bad, but the crowd sort of got lost a little bit, I think. Obviously all the Bloodline came out, Bloodline rules, blah, 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 blah. RKO came out, Kevin Owens came out, they chased off the Fatus, and then Jacob Fatu comes in, and you think Solo's going to win, but obviously you don't really think Solo's going to win at all. And then all of a sudden, Roman Reigns' music hits, he comes in, spears Solo, does the Superman punch, Cody Rhodes does Crossroads, 1, 2, 3, Cody Rhodes is still your Universal Champion. It was very cool to see Roman back. I do wonder, because this has been something I've said about WWE, that WWE is on fire at the minute, but sometimes the match order and the sequencing of the matches is a bit odd. I would have personally have gone with Punk and Drew as the main event. Even, to be honest, even if Roman was coming back, I would have still have had that at the middle of the card, personally, for me. People disagree, that's fine. Each to their own. But yeah, no, it was still a good show. It was just, it kind of left the crowd dead in a couple of places. There was a bit of logic leaping, especially with Punk, like I said, with the bracelet. It was a bit odd, really. And like I said, the solo match with Cody, it was decent, but for your main event, you want an absolute banger, and I just didn't feel it was a banger in my opinion. But love the Drew and Punk match. LA Knight and Logan was good for what it was. Rhea and Liv Morgan was good. And very much enjoyed Gunther versus Priest. So yeah, overall, decent show. Not the best song I've ever seen, but certainly it was a good time. Enjoyed myself. I am absolutely shattered now, folks, so I'm going to go to bed. stick around for the channel. There's going to be lots more content coming up. If you wanted a rough breakdown of what's happened, I've done shorts for like the main stuff that's happened tonight. Lots of cool stuff coming up. I'm going to be at AEW Wembley, so keep an eye out for that in 3 weeks' time. It'll be 3 weeks today, actually, because it's Sunday. And yeah, lots more cool stuff coming up. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all soon. That was SummerSlam. Bye-bye.